when he went down, I had to restart. And by the time the financial crisis hit, I hadn't really gotten enough traction with and build a big enough book of business. The GFC caused a lot of havoc.
How was Ira traversing this at the time in the office? Cutting people?
I believe that's what happened. I mean, people were cutting themselves because there was nothing going on. There was not enough business going on, right? There was no equity in property. Everything was upside down.
So you find yourself in this position.
It wasn't a hard decision to not be a mortgage broker anymore.
Because it wasn't serving your purpose.
It wasn't serving any purpose.
What your challenge became, allow me to say it, your challenge became,
go right ahead.
I want to purvey my creativity as a person discovering what I like and what I love, which is being creative, doing challenging things, not just cold calling every. That's not sexy for me.
Right.
So your creativity took you to work with borrowers, right? It's that creativity. It's like, okay, no, I need to be more creative. I need to do more challenging things. This is boring for me. Let me do harder stuff.
Right.
And then what did you realize? That your creativity, your problem was answered.
Boxing yourself in.
But then your money your pocket gets it. No?
Exactly.
Tell me about that situation.
So I want to just take it back to one step. But I mentioned earlier a little bit of immaturity, right? And is that I do think that sales it's a numbers game, right? So like I said, you may be a little harder to get business, but meaning here we go. If you make those calls, if you reach out to enough people, even if you're technically selling something that's boring, right? And your personality connects with somebody else, you got to just do the reps. You have to do even if you're not getting business from people because you don't want to do the simple deals or the regular
because they're
boring, and then you feel like, okay, how am I going to differentiate myself? Because I do things that I want to do things that are
creative and challenging.
And now that I had added value, but like you just mentioned that other
issue
that you're not going to
make money.
You're not going to make money. So really, it's like. You got to make the call. So you basically what makes a person decide they want to do? Like if I was making money and doing fix your waters here. Yes. If I was making money doing regular commodity style type of deals, regular deals like selling interest rates,
the boring stuff,
I'd be okay. Like okay, I'd say okay, like
but there's no purpose.
But you feel there's no purpose. But
to you, there's no purpose to you.
There's no purpose. But if you're making money and you're there to like feed your family, you deal with it, right? So the immaturity is, I need to now find something that like I could add value, right? And then I'll be able to, shine in that way. Mm-hmm. But if you do enough, if you do the sales calls and you make enough phone calls to people, like I said on the phone right now, and I'm looking for value add opportunities sometimes or something a little, creative, or if I want to buy loans from banks, right? It's really the same issue today, right? If I want to buy loans from banks, there's plenty of people that want to buy loans from banks. But I got to make the calls. I have to call. I reach out to lenders. I see a foreclosure. I see a bankruptcy that's filed. I need to get in touch with the lender that's selling that may want to sell the loan, and there could be 20 other people just like me calling them. So
you want to. So let me organize the thoughts
Please.
A little bit. Let me organize. So what you're saying is. Leo, I realized early on in my first career with Eastern Union Consolidated that I had a creative bug inside of me. Mm-hmm. And while outwardly I was fulfilling the objectives of being a husband and being a father and being gainfully employed, I failed to live out my purpose of my creativity that lived inside of me. Am I correct?
So
in that
far,
regard?
so good.
Okay, good. So I had to create an extension of what I was already doing that spoke to my creativity. When I began to look at borrowers that I can work with that had difficult situations, the money wasn't in fact there.
Right.
So I had to pivot to answer both, being a father, a husband, and a caregiver, or a man that brings money, or the kosher bacon home, if you will,
Okay.
and also fulfilling my prophecy of, or my purpose of, being a creative soul. Because not everybody's a creative soul, by the way, Mendy. Not everybody's a creative soul. People can work in jobs that are mundane, that are boring,
Right.
and they make a lot of money, but you wanted to drive purpose in your work. So you had to now say, okay, I like the boring stuff, but it doesn't serve my purpose to me personally. Now I have this, what serves my purpose personally, working with the borrower, but there's no money in it, or it's tougher to make money, and you have to wait, and it's long, and it's drawn out. I have to just now work on the lender side. Am I correct in that regard?
You're correct about that.
So where did you go after? Well, quickly tell me about how you exited Eastern Consolidated, right? You were there for 7 years, and I'm sure you made a pretty good living, right?
Correct.
At this point, you have probably a few more children, and you have greater obligations, right? The obligations. And where do you live at the time? Still Lakewood?
I've been Lakewood all along.
Okay, good. So tell me how you exited, and how you had that conversation with Ira, whoever, and what were you thinking at the time when you were trying to exit? Tell me about that.
Right. So, a couple of years before the GFC,
Right. What is GFC for those that don't know?
the Great Financial Crisis,
Right. 2008.
2008. So I had a client that that actually provided a little bit of that creative, vibes for me. I did about, I'd say, 50 loans for that client, and then he got himself into trouble with the government,
Criminally or civilly?
criminally
Okay.
and civilly.
Well, obviously that
Yeah,
follows.
that follows usually.
Did he go bankrupt or no?
Yeah, he did that too.
He did that too.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything. So I had to kind of restart.
Why? Because he was your main client, or
he was like my main client, and I did a lot of business with him. And so that's a mistake. Obviously, you never put all your eggs in one basket.
right.
And he was taking up a lot of my time. He really commanded a lot of my energy and time, because he had a lot of deals. A lot of them were smaller. It was just funky stuff, and I did a lot of business with him.
But in that creativity, you found him, or he kind of came to you naturally? Was it a cold call?
It was an introduction through a common friend, and he felt it was a good fit, and we did a bunch of deals. And
you were making money.
We were making money with him, and then things went bad, and so now I got to reset and start finding more business, right? And so that back to the grind, and once I had that client that was doing a lot of it, and I didn't have to go. I wasn't making many cold calls. It was just a lot of business was coming to me. So when he went down, I had to restart. And by the time the financial crisis hit, I hadn't really gotten enough traction with and build a big enough book of business. Well, first of all, the GFC caused a lot of havoc, and you were not
upheaval.
And there was and you
how was Ira traversing this at the time in the office? Cutting people.
I believe that's what happened. I mean, people were cutting themselves because there was nothing going on. There was not enough business going on, right? So
because in order to have
there was no equity in property. Everything was upside down, right? Every from 2008 and on for the next few years, there was just a massive deleveraging going on. Right? So
you find yourself in this position.
I found myself in that position, and now I was like, okay, so it wasn't a hard decision to not be a mortgage broker anymore,
because it wasn't serving your purpose.
It wasn't serving any purpose. I didn't have enough of a book of business. I didn't have enough of a book of business that could hold me over. It was hard to get deals done then. It was very hard. Like you couldn't. Things just didn't pencil. So I had basically no clients, and it was just a different market. So and one of the things is when this client got into trouble, I was getting calls left and right from bankers and lawyers and people who knew me that I knew him, and trying to get their hands on the properties. It was like, so
You started getting different types of calls.
I was getting calls from different people regarding this client's loans and properties. You know, the vultures were coming out trying to see what they can get their hands on. So I was front and center with a lot of people that were in the bankruptcy business, and then foreclosures, and you know, all these.
You were never introduced to that.
Never, no, up until then, no.
Yeah, you were just like teeny weeny.
No, we heard the idea of like, if you don't pay your loan, you're gonna get foreclosed on, right? Like that's all you knew about that, right? But you didn't know what that actually meant, the timeline.
How old were you at the time when this all was happening? 30s?
I was in my 31.
And was it like a shock to you, or was it kind of like, oh, I get it, I'm gonna pivot?
No. So you asked me why I stayed in the business for 7 years already, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'm a stubborn guy in that I don't like to quit. I really don't. When I decide to do something, I just don't like, oh, it's not going, so like let me just stop.
So you have built-in resilience.
I'm a resilient guy, and I sometimes to a fault, it takes me some time until I say, okay, this is not going anymore. Stop beating a dead horse.
What's your horoscope?
What's that?
What's your horoscope? If you got a horoscope?
I think I'm born in April 19th. I think I'm an Aries.
Aries or Aries.
Aries. Okay.
Okay. Continue.
So, that's how. Yeah. So what were we saying? Oh, so I wasn't exposed to that, and you were saying, I'm being resilient. So
right, you're being resilient, exactly. And you had this conversation with Ira about leaving. How did you?
Yeah. So it was pretty much. I mean, a lot of people I left at that point. You know, I said, okay, like I'm going to try. I mean, at that point, even towards the end, before I left, I was already starting. I have a friend of mine who ended up being a partner for a while. His name is David Stanger. We were partners. We were buying loans. That's how we got started buying these loans.
Who?
That's how I got started in the note business. Towards the end, before I left Eastern.
So I want to slow that down. I want to slow that down. So things are not going well.
Right.
You're not passionate about what you're doing anyways. Your main client goes down, and you don't necessarily have a crossroads. You don't even have a road. You're kind of like, what do I do?
Exactly.
You have a conversation with Ira. Ira's like, look, if you got to go, you got to go. Was that really the long and short of it?
It was basically pretty much. You know, a lot of people were figuring out what to do. I had already started, thinking about, I got to do something, right? What's next?
And what induced you to go like, oh, I want to buy loans? Like that goes from like mortgage broker to investor, right? Like,
right.
Like how did you?
I always wanted to be an investor. The truth is, I always wanted to be an investor. I liked the idea.
When did that develop inside of you? Like a year, 2 years?
I had invested with a couple clients along the way during deals. So I kind of liked the idea. I think people, the idea of being a landlord, right? And you're a mortgage broker
or a lender, landlord or lender.
Well, or a landlord. You asked me about how I wanted to get into the investor side.
Right.
It's not about being the lender thing is just a way to invest in a smart way, right? That's
maybe we'll get in
potentially,
there. Okay.
Right. So when you're a mortgage broker and you're seeing all these clients make all this money, assuming
refi and like.
Well, you got
flips,
you got cash flow, and you got NOI, and I kind of wanted to do that. It was something that talked to me.
You learn through seeing and hearing and feeling.
Yeah, it's not like, just learning the business, seeing what people buy, why they buy it. Like you get a feel for whether I think this client is doing a good deal or not, or
Okay, so you met somebody along the way. You said Daniel or somebody?
David.
So
who's a friend and neighbor of mine.
How did you meet him? How did you meet him?
He was also in the mortgage brokerage business,
and
he moved into like buying residential properties, and he bought short sales and foreclosures.
He was already doing
that. So we were friends, and we started talking, and I'm like, hey,
what am I doing?
I don't know what I'm doing. And like, he kind of introduced me to the idea of, let's say, why don't we do some stuff together? He's doing residential, and I was doing commercial mortgage brokerage. If I see any opportunities, there are people losing their properties.
Right.
You're literally in the front front row of the crash, right? So
Who?
A mortgage broker, right? If you're a mortgage broker and you did loans, and then you have people calling you to try to get debt on their properties, you're literally seeing people who are struggling getting, and anyone will talk to you then. If you're a mortgage broker in the GFC, and like they'll talk to anyone who can't refinance their property or is in trouble. Everyone's willing to talk to you then. Like you'll get a lot of people to talk to you, but there's nothing you can do for them because they're underwater. So he said, hey, you're seeing distressed deals on the mortgage brokerage side, on the commercial side. Like I would love to get into commercial. He was doing residential, and we got, we started talking, and then that's when I got into I mentioned to you, I did CMBS workouts together with him.
Okay, so you started CMBS workouts.
I was in the commercial mortgage space, and this was my friend David's idea. He's like, listen, all these people. Let's see if we can try to, work out their problems for them.
So he was an investor.
He was an investor, and he's also had experience in buying foreclosures, going to the auction. I didn't really know much about that, and I was in a situation where like, okay, I want to do something else. He had an expertise in foreclosures, then he was doing it on the residential side. I knew commercial real estate, and we got together, and then that's when I said, okay, Ira, I'm moving on, and I want to do something else.